Most fans come to witness greatness, but sometimes, right in front of thousands, the game turns deadly. From a soccer player colliding with a concrete wall to a surfer dragged under at pipeline, these are the 5 worst deaths of athletes ever recorded. It was March 29, 2008 in Zadar, Croatia. Hrvoje Čustić, a talented 24-year-old winger for NK Zadar, was doing what he loved most, playing soccer in front of passionate hometown fans. The match against HNK Sabalia had just begun, and the energy in the stadium was electric. No one could have imagined that within minutes, a routine play would lead to one of soccer's most heartbreaking tragedies. Čustić's journey in soccer began in his hometown of Zadar, where he joined the local club in 2000. His skill and dedication earned him a move to NK Zagreb in 2005, but the pull of home brought him back to Zadar in 2007. Known for his speed and determination, Hrvoje was a fan favorite, a local boy representing his city with pride. That fateful Saturday started like any other match day. Just minutes into the game, Čustić chased after a loose ball near the sideline. As he battled with an opposing player, neither focused on anything but gaining possession. The intensity of their challenge sent Čustić sliding off the field of play. What made this particular stadium dangerous was what lay beyond the touchline, a concrete wall positioned just 6 feet from the edge of the playing field. As Čustić slid off the pitch, his momentum carried him directly into this unforgiving barrier. The sickening sound of impact silenced the crowd as Hrvoje's head collided violently with the concrete. Medical staff rushed onto the field immediately. Players from both teams stood in shock, some turning away, unable to watch as doctors worked frantically to stabilize him. The ambulance arrived quickly, and Čustić was rushed to Zadar General Hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery for a severe brain injury. For 5 days, the entire city of Zadar held its breath. Prayer vigils formed outside the hospital as fans, teammates, and family members hoped for a miracle. Čustić's condition initially appeared stable after surgery, giving everyone a glimmer of hope. But on April 2nd, his body temperature began rising rapidly due to a post-surgical infection. Despite the doctor's best efforts, Hrvoje Čustić passed away on April 3rd, 2008. The news devastated the Croatian soccer community and beyond. The Croatian Football Federation postponed all league matches for the following weekend as a mark of respect. An estimated 10,000 people attended his funeral, reflecting the impact he had on his community. His NK Zadar teammates served as pallbearers, carrying their friend on his final journey. The tragedy sparked important conversations about player safety in soccer stadiums worldwide. The concrete wall that claimed Čustić's life represented a hazard that should never have existed so close to the field of play. His death led to safety reviews at many stadiums, with particular attention paid to the areas surrounding the pitch. Years later, Hrvoje's memory lives on in Croatian soccer. His former teammate and close friend Danijel Subašić, who became Croatia's national team goalkeeper, paid tribute to Čustić after Croatia's victory over Denmark in the 2018 World Cup. After saving 3 penalties in the shootout, Subašić lifted his jersey to reveal a shirt bearing Hrvoje's image. Though FIFA issued Subašić a warning for the gesture, it showed how deeply Čustić's memory continues to resonate with those who knew him. When asked about his tribute during a press conference, Subašić broke down in tears, unable to speak about his friend, demonstrating that even a decade later, the wounds remain raw. Hrvoje Čustić's story reminds us that even in the beautiful game, tragedy can strike in an instant, forever changing lives and leaving an indelible mark on the sport's history. It was July 19, 1982, in Rome, Italy. Vladimir Smirnov, a 28-year-old Soviet fencing star, was competing in the World Championships. The arena buzzed with excitement as spectators gathered to watch the world's best fencers. Smirnov, the reigning Olympic gold medalist in foil, faced West German Matthias Baer in what should have been a routine match between 2 elite competitors. No one could have imagined that within moments, a freak accident would forever change the sport of fencing. Born in Rubizhna, Ukraine, Smirnov had risen to become the Soviet Union's premier fencer. Standing 6 feet 1 inch and weighing 172 pounds, he combined power with exceptional technique. His journey to the top culminated at the 1980 Moscow Olympics, where he captured gold in the individual foil competition, silver in the team foil, and bronze in the team épée events. By 1981, he had added a world championship to his impressive collection of medals. That fateful day in Rome, Smirnov stepped onto the piste wearing his standard protective gear. a mask made of steel mesh, a chest protector, and his white fencing uniform. The match began like countless others, with the two champions exchanging attacks and parries, their movements precise and calculated. Suddenly, during an intense exchange, both fencers attacked simultaneously, attempting to establish what's known in fencing as the right of way. Smirnov tried to block Bear's blade with an upward parry, but Bear avoided it. As they collided, Bear's foil blade snapped upon impact with Smirnov's chest protector. The broken blade, now jagged and sharp, continued its forward momentum with Bear's lunge. It pierced through Smirnov's mask, penetrated his eye socket, and drove deep into his brain. The arena fell silent as Smirnov collapsed onto the piste. Medical staff rushed to his aid while horrified spectators and fellow competitors looked on in disbelief. Bear stood frozen, devastated by what had just occurred. This wasn't just a sporting accident, it was a catastrophe that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Smirnov was immediately rushed to a nearby hospital where surgeons worked desperately to save him. The broken blade had caused severe damage to his brain. Despite being placed on life support, doctors soon determined he had no brain reflexes. For 9 agonizing days, Smirnov remained on life support while the fencing world prayed for a miracle. On July 28, 1982, Vladimir Smirnov was pronounced dead. The news sent shockwaves through the international sports community. The Soviet Union had lost one of its greatest champions, and the fencing world had experienced its most tragic moment. Bear, though absolved of any wrongdoing, carried the emotional burden of the accident. He left fencing in the aftermath but eventually returned, winning silver at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Later, he became the head of Germany's National Fencing Training Center, dedicating himself to improving the sport. Smirnov's death became a watershed moment for fencing safety. The International Fencing Federation immediately began reviewing equipment standards. The carbon steel blades that had been standard were replaced with maraging steel, which is far less likely to snap. Masks were reinforced with stronger materials, and uniforms were upgraded to include Kevlar or high-strength nylon. The punch test for masks was introduced, requiring them to withstand 12 kilograms of force. A 5-year study later revealed that these changes had made fencing significantly safer than many popular sports. The research found injury rates 50 times greater in soccer than in fencing. In the last 100 years, there have been no reported deaths in U.S. fencing, and worldwide since Smirnov, only 7 confirmed fatalities in competition or practice. Today, fencing is considered one of the safest competitive sports, largely due to the changes implemented after Smirnov's death. His tragic passing, while devastating, ultimately saved countless lives through the safety improvements it prompted. Vladimir Smirnov's legacy lives on, not only in the medals he won and the skill he displayed, but in the safer sport fencing has become. In death, as in life, he changed the face of the sport he loved, a final, unintended contribution from a true champion. It was October 23, 2010, in Fujairah, United Arab Emirates. Fran Crippen, a 26-year-old American swimming star, was competing in the FINA Open Water 10-kilometer World Cup. The race began early that morning, with dozens of the world's best swimmers diving into the warm waters of the Persian Gulf. No one could have imagined that by the end of the day, the swimming world would be mourning the loss of one of its brightest talents. Born in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, Crippen came from a family of swimmers. All 3 of his sisters were accomplished in the sport. His oldest sister, Maddie, had even competed in the 2000 Olympics. Standing 6 feet 2 inches with a powerful build, Fran was a natural in the water. After a successful college career at the University of Virginia, where he was an 11-time All-American, Crippen turned his focus to open water swimming. By 2010, he had established himself as America's premier open water swimmer, winning bronze at the 2009 World Championships in the 10K event, though he narrowly missed qualifying for the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Crippen had his sights set firmly on the 2012 London Games. The race in the UAE was just another step toward that dream. That fateful day, conditions were brutal. The water temperature was reported at 84 degrees, though many swimmers later claimed it felt closer to 90 degrees. The air temperature soared to nearly 100 degrees, creating a dangerous combination for athletes pushing their bodies to the limit in a 2-hour race. As the swimmers made their way around the triangular course, several began showing signs of heat-related distress. Christine Dean Jennings, an American teammate, had to be pulled from the water and hospitalized. Others complained of disorientation and extreme fatigue. Despite this, race officials made no adjustments. About 2/3 of the way through the race, Crippen told his coach he wasn't feeling well. In typical fashion for the determined athlete, he pushed on, but something was terribly wrong. When the race concluded, Crippen was nowhere to be found. His absence at the finish line initially caused confusion rather than alarm. It was his teammate and friend Alex Meyer who first raised the alert, insisting that Crippen was missing. As officials scrambled to organize a search, Meyer and other swimmers dove back into the water to look for their colleague. The search was chaotic and disorganized. There were no lifeguards stationed along the course, no safety boats monitoring the swimmers, and no emergency protocols in place. 2 hours after the race ended, Crippen's body was found by deep-sea divers, just 400 meters from the finish line near the final buoy. He was 30 feet underwater. The swimming world was devastated. An investigation revealed multiple failures by race organizers. There had been inadequate safety personnel, no proper monitoring system, and no contingency plans for emergencies. The extreme heat had likely caused Crippen to suffer heat exhaustion, leading to unconsciousness and drowning. Crippen's former coach, Dick Schulberg, was outspoken about the tragedy. "FINA dropped the ball," he said. "They approved this event to be an Olympic event, but they never took the next step to protect the athletes." The German winner of the race, Thomas Lurs, echoed these sentiments. "These are very hot conditions for swimming," he said after the event, while Russian swimmer Evgeny Dratsev admitted he had never competed in such warm conditions before. Crippen's death sparked major reforms in open water swimming. FINA implemented new safety regulations, including temperature limits for competitions, mandatory safety boats, and GPS tracking for swimmers. His family established the Fran Crippen Elevation Foundation to advocate for athlete safety and support promising swimmers. Fran Crippen's legacy extends far beyond his achievements in the water. His tragic death forced the swimming world to confront serious safety issues that had been overlooked for too long. Today, open water swimmers compete under much stricter safety protocols, a bittersweet tribute to an athlete who loved his sport but paid the ultimate price for its inadequacies. It was December 2nd, 2005, on Oahu's North Shore, Hawaii. Malik Joyeux, a 25-year-old Tahitian surfer known as Petit Prince, paddled out at the legendary Banzai pipeline. The waves were breaking at 8 feet, modest by pipeline standards, but still powerful enough to demand respect. The morning was beautiful, with clear skies and perfect conditions that had drawn dozens of the world's best surfers into the lineup. No one could have imagined that within hours, the surfing world would be mourning the loss of one of its most fearless big wave riders. Born in Moorea, French Polynesia, Joyeux had surfing in his blood. He began riding waves at just 8 years old, quickly developing a reputation for his fearlessness in heavy surf. Standing 5 feet 7 inches and weighing 150 pounds, Joyeux wasn't physically imposing, but his courage was immeasurable. By his early 20s, he had established himself as one of the premier surfers at Teahupu, Tahiti's infamous wave known for its thick hollow barrels breaking over a shallow reef. In 2003, Joyeux cemented his place in surfing history by winning the Billabong XXL Tube of the Year award for an impossible barrel at Pipeline. The following year, he appeared on the cover of Surfer magazine riding a monstrous wave at Teahupu, an image that became iconic in the surfing community. Despite his growing fame, Malik remained humble and kind, known for his infectious smile and generous spirit. That fateful December morning, Joyeux was among approximately 60 surfers vying for waves at Pipeline. The spot is notorious for its dangerous conditions, powerful waves that break over a shallow, razor-sharp coral reef just feet below the surface. For surfers, the reward of riding Pipeline's perfect barrels comes with tremendous risk. Around 10:30 a.m., Joyeux paddled for a wave that photographer Bruno Lemos described as not even that big for him. As Joyeux dropped in, something went wrong. The wave's thick lip came crashing down directly on top of him, driving him deep underwater. The force was so violent that it snapped his surfboard in half and tore the leash from his ankle. When Joyeux failed to surface, panic spread through the lineup. Surfers began searching frantically, diving underwater between sets to look for their friend. Lifeguards joined the search, but the powerful currents and poor visibility made it nearly impossible to find him. Approximately 10 minutes later, surfers spotted Joyeux's body floating in a nearby break. They quickly paddled him to shore, where lifeguards attempted CPR, but it was too late. Malik Joyeux was pronounced dead on the beach, becoming the 11th known fatality at Pipeline. As words spread, dozens of surfers paddled to shore and formed a circle on the beach, holding hands in prayer. The surfing community, known for its tight-knit nature, was devastated by the loss of such a beloved figure. Captain Bodo van der Leiden of the Ocean Safety Division later told reporters he was a very experienced big wave surfer, highlighting the sobering reality that even the most skilled athletes aren't immune to the ocean's power. Joyeux's death sent shockwaves through the surfing world, coming just months before the Pipeline Masters, the sport's most prestigious competition. Many surfers competed with heavy hearts, dedicating their performances to their fallen friend. Malik Joyeux's legacy lives on in the surfing community. He is remembered not just for his extraordinary courage in massive waves, but for his humility and joy. His approach to surfing, fearless yet respectful of the ocean's power, continues to inspire a new generation of big wave surfers. Though his life was cut tragically short, his impact on the sport remains immeasurable. It was October 24, 1971, at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, Michigan. Chuck Hughes, a 28-year-old wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, was playing in a hard-fought game against the Chicago Bears. The stadium was packed with over 54,000 fans, the atmosphere electric as the Lions trailed 28-23 in the final minutes. No one could have imagined that within moments, they would witness the only death to ever occur during an NFL game. Born in Philadelphia and raised in Texas, Hughes had defied the odds to make it to professional football. Standing 6 feet tall and weighing 185 pounds, he wasn't the biggest or fastest player, but his determination and precise route running made him valuable. After starring at Texas Western College, now UTEP, Hughes was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1967 before being traded to Detroit in 1970. Though primarily a backup, Hughes was known for his work ethic and positive attitude. Teammates described him as a friendly, Western kind of guy, with a distinctive giggle and an infectious smile. He was a devoted husband to Sharon and father to their 2-year-old son, Shane. That fateful Sunday, Hughes entered the game in the fourth quarter after starter Larry Walton suffered an ankle injury. With just over 2 minutes remaining, Hughes made a spectacular 32-yard catch, his first and only reception of the season. He was immediately hit hard by 2 Bears defenders, but got up and jogged back to the huddle. A few plays later, with 1 minute and 2 seconds left on the clock, Hughes ran a deep pattern as quarterback Greg Landry threw to tight end Charlie Sanders. As Hughes turned to head back toward the huddle, he suddenly clutched his chest and collapsed face first onto the turf near the Chicago 20-yard line. Initially, some players thought he might be faking an injury to stop the clock, a common tactic in those days. But Bears linebacker Dick Butkus, who was nearest to Hughes, immediately recognized something was terribly wrong. Butkus frantically waved toward the Lions bench, calling for medical help. Team doctors Edwin Guys and Richard Thompson rushed onto the field along with trainers. They performed CPR as the stadium fell eerily silent. A doctor from the stands even ran down to assist. Hughes was quickly loaded onto a stretcher and rushed to Henry Ford Hospital, but it was too late. At 5:34 p.m., Chuck Hughes was pronounced dead. The autopsy revealed that Hughes had died of a heart attack caused by a massive coronary thrombosis, a blood clot that had blocked a coronary artery that was already 70% blocked by atherosclerosis. The report also mentioned old scarring on the posterior wall of the heart, suggesting he had suffered a previous, undetected heart attack. Most shocking was that Hughes had shown warning signs. 7 weeks earlier, he had collapsed in the locker room after a preseason game against Buffalo and spent 4 days in the hospital. Doctors diagnosed a possible spleen injury, missing the heart condition that would ultimately take his life. After Hughes was taken from the field, the game resumed for its final 62 seconds. The Bears ran out the clock, and players left the field unaware of the tragedy unfolding at the hospital. Only later in the locker room did the Lions learn they had lost their teammate. The NFL community mourned Hughes deeply. The Lions retired his number 85 and wore black armbands in his memory. His death led to improved cardiac care at NFL stadiums, including the introduction of defibrillators and better emergency protocols. Chuck Hughes' tragic story remains a sobering reminder of the fragility of life, even among elite athletes in their prime. His legacy lives on not just in the safety improvements his death inspired, but in the memories of a kind, determined player who lived his dream until his final moments on the field. Thanks for watching. Sometimes the most powerful moments in sports aren't about victory, but about the risks athletes take every time they step onto the field. If this hits you hard, stick around. There's more where tragedy, risk, and raw emotion collide on the world's biggest stages.